What's up, everybody? Old School NYC Gamer here once again, and yes, everybody, something I think I have not done in over a couple of years easily, and I've stopped counting because that's how long it's been, and it's a video response to Lawnboyspost1975, and that's the guy right over here. Channel link is down there, so you definitely got to check him out, especially if you want to see a British gamer's side of retro gaming. You definitely got to check him out. Now, the topic that he had here, I've been dying to do this one ever since he did this topic. I believe it was a month or two ago. I really can't remember when he posted this originally, but very great topic. And you know, to do my take on the response is, what is your most nostalgic memories of when your parents gave you your own TV for your room? So there was actually two instances on this, and I can remember clearly. At the time, you got to remember back to about 1981, and this is the best memory I have of this. Was when my whole family at the time, it was me, my sister, my mom, my dad, we all lived in a one-bedroom apartment. Now you're thinking, how's that so? Technically the living room was the biggest room in the house, but what we did was, at that time, we split the room in half so me and my sister could have our room, and of course the parents had the actual bedroom itself. Now, the TV I believe that we had was a Toshiba. It was a 13-inch black and white. And the funny thing was, when we got it, mainly, and I knew this for a fact, that my dad got this for me because he knew once I got the Atari, you know, necessarily I couldn't plug it into their my parents' TV set. Mind you, back then, TVs were these big, large, freaking bulks of beauty that mostly are taking up landfills, or you see them at Goodwill, Salvation Army, or whatever. Now, I'm not trying to sidetrack what I'm saying here is, the TV that my parents had at the time, and believe it or not, they had it for a good 15 years. I mean, this thing's been through punishment and a half, and it, like a tank, kept on ticking. Was a Sony Tritron? I'm not exactly sure, but it definitely was a Sony. It still had the dials that you go click, 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 click. That kind of a TV, that's how old school this TV was. Now, of course, my parents were no way in hell going to let me plug in the Atari into that. So to settle that argument, my dad got like some beat up old Toshiba television at the time. And mind you, black and white, I didn't care. The fact that I could play my Atari 2600 on my own TV was amazing. Now, it was rare that we even used that TV for actual television shows. Even when we had cable, I believe my parents had the cable box in their room, so there was no cable in our room. We just had with the rabbit ears, antennas, and that kind of a thing. And so now, like I said, just playing Miss Pac-Man, I mean, that's one of my fondest memories of that, was playing Miss Pac-Man. And even when we had Ice Hockey by Activision at the time, me and my sister would not even want to play the game, we would just fight each other. And of course, whoever lost would want to fight. So if I won, she wanted to fight me, and vice versa. And that's how sibling rivalry goes. I'm sorry, I'm just getting a little parched. Give me 1 second. Get a nice to Bedhead 1000. A little sip of coffee for that one. Straight black. Woo! But anyway, so now we're gonna fast forward all the way to about 1980, late 1987. Because early 87, me and my family, we went up toward the border of Canada for our vacation, holiday, whatever you want to call it. Unbeknown to us, we were gone for about a week. We were coming home and we're smelling smoke about half a block away from our building. And my mom is like, oh, the first thing I want to do is take a long shower. And as soon as she said that, we started smelling smoke, and it's something that was a fire. We just didn't know where it was coming from. Now, the second we opened the door to the hallway of the basement, it was just all blacked out. Like, no lights, no nothing. It was all black from all the smoke in the hallway. Unbeknown to us, an upstairs neighbor, like a moron, he was storing his car parts and tons of flammable material, like spray cans, what have you, under the crawl space underneath me and my sister's room. Now, the kicker of that is, if me and or my sister were home at that time, we didn't go on vacation, you wouldn't be seeing me here now. So that's how crazy that is. And of course, the super at the time, our superintendent wasn't exactly the brightest person either. We won't get into that whole thing. But anyway, late 1980, or early 1987, basically, we pretty much lost almost everything we had. So my grandmother lived next door to us, and we were basically staying there until they renovated our apartment, because obviously it was not our fault. It was superintendent's fault, unless he didn't want to get sued. They had to do a hell of a job to renovate the apartment, which they did. Now, once we were settled back in, about 2 months in, I want to say just before Halloween, if I'm not mistaken, is when we were back in the apartment. I think a little bit after Halloween, before Thanksgiving, my father once again came through because he knew that there was no way in hell I was going to play. I still had my Atari, believe it or not. That was one of the few things that did not burn up in the fire. But at that time, actually even my NES survived that too, because a lot of my stuff, and I don't know how this happened from what I was told, a lot of my stuff was in the closet, so it was away from the fire. But the fire was so intense. FDNY were telling us that we had this old big 4-tier like stereo, and you know what I'm talking about, from the 80s, these big like all-in-one audio systems, turntable, double cassette, tuner, you name it. It was melted to the wall. So the FDNY had to use an actual shovel to get it off. So basically, exactly where the first of the 3 explosions happened was where my sister would have been sleeping. So that's really, really freaky to even talk about it like that. Now, getting back to the second part of this nostalgia trip that he's talking about here. So now, of course, my dad couldn't get at the time, because we were struggling, especially now that we lost a lot of our stuff to this fire. He didn't want to, he didn't want all of us trying to fight him for the TV all at once. So once again, he came through, and he got me a Panasonic. And this was so weird. It was an all-in-one. Basically, you could carry it with you. It was portable. Think of the Commodore SX64. Think of that. But it actually had a tuner, radio, and a TV. And of course, even with the rabbit ears. But at that time, I could actually, I jerry-rigged, got a cable splitter to go from the cable box over to mine. So if I wanted to watch a certain show, of course, when nobody else is, I could just go into the room, change it to whatever channel I wanted. Mind you, it was about this big of a screen, maybe 5 inches or so, 5-6 inch screen, but I played the hell out of that. Mainly it was ice hockey for Nintendo, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, and RC Pro-Am, and I never got sick of playing those games for at least a good 7-8 months till I got another game. But yeah, that's something that was also interesting about that TV was it actually had the option where even if I didn't want to watch it, I could just turn off the screen and play the audio from said TV show. And once again, it didn't necessarily have like clicky knobs. It had a regular knob, but you had to up, down to get the exact tune. I remember even when you opened the top of the combo television radio doohickey itself, you had these little things that you needed like a very thin screwdriver to notch it exactly to what setting, just to get that perfect tuning in to whatever television station that you wanted to watch. Back then, you have to remember, excuse me once again, you also have to remember that up until the late 90s or early 90s, especially with even in the UK, you guys had 2-3 channels at the time, whereas in America we had I believe 5 or 6. We had ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, which was channel 5. So you guys say 5 or 6 stations we had that were not cable. So if you didn't have a cable box, you pretty much had to watch what was there or just go read a book. But once again, going off track, that is, what it was back then. You know what? If I could go back in time and find out exactly what that was, I would try to get it again, that all-in-one, because for some reason I had more of an attachment to that than I did with the first TV back in 1981. But anyway, that's all I got to say with all the blathering here. But that's my video response to Lawnboyspost1975. Once again, this guy right here check the channel out down there. And that's about it, everybody. So once again, thank you so much for watching. Just out of curiosity, I do want to start a discussion within this video. What were your memories of like your first television that your parents gave you for your own room? If you do, feel free to leave them down in the comments. And if you have any other questions or comments, feel free to do that too. And you can also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch. Actually, I'm going to start doing Twitch a little more. Once again, the work schedule is getting hectic once again because we're getting a little warmer and it gets busier at my job. But other than that, that's about it. Have a good one, everybody, and take care. Cheers.